and welcome to another episode of FooBar. In today's episode, I want to talk about different strategies for deploying serverless applications. So, if you're interested in watching more content about serverless, cloud computing, or software engineering practices in general, subscribe to my channel in the red button below. I post a video every Tuesday, so let's get started! So this is the first of a two series kind of videos. In the first video, this one, I will be talking a little bit about the theory, and then in the second part I will show you how to do this in practice using serverless framework as always, and everything as infrastructure as code. So in this channel I have talked a lot about continuous deployment and continuous integration. I have a whole playlist about deploying serverless applications. I have talked about deploying in different environments using environmental parameters and all kind of different things. So if you're interested, I'll leave you the card in the top and in the description box about all this content. But I never talk about different strategies for deploying. So basically, whenever I'm deploying all these applications into the cloud, we are deploying it all at once. So in this video, I want to deepen a little bit the knowledge about different strategies for deploying serverless applications. And I have to be honest, before me getting into serverless, I even didn't know about these things. I was a developer all my life, and I was always protected by ops that was taking care of deploying. So for me, the first encounter with different strategies to deploy was in one of the first serverless conf I attended like 3 years ago, where Being Kihoe was talking about blue and green deployments on serverless, and I was like, this is interesting. I will try to find the talk and leave it in the cards, but it's a very old talk. And he was talking about these blue-green deployments, and I was like, okay, this sounds very interesting, and this is a real problem. So today I want to address that 3 years later. I know it took time, but I think now the tooling is there and we have capability to do it pretty straightforward. So why we want these different deployment strategies? I'm pretty sure that you all have the feeling when deploying to production to be stressful. Even if you have continuous deployment, automation, test, unit test, integration test, all kind of different things in your automation pipeline, you still feel that, is it going to work? Did I test everything? Do I have everything in place? So one way to mitigate this stress is to have strategies in your deployment. So in all these videos, as I said, we were always deploying everything at once. So basically we put the code in production, and then as soon as the Lambdas are ready, the traffic is shifted from the old version to the new version of the Lambda and all the resources. And then all our traffic is shifted to this new version, and then if something is wrong, we need to roll back the whole thing, and well, all the users will be affected, and if we have any problem, all the system will be down for a while or out of working because there is some issue while we roll back. So there are many strategies, at least I will mention in this video too. The Canary strategy and the Linear strategy. So these strategies, in a nutshell, what they do is they let you roll your code in different stages, like first 10%, 20%, and so on, depending on the strategy. So then you can perform tests, monitor, and make sure that your code is working before going to all your users. So now I will give a little bit theory about this, and in the next video we are going to put this in practice. So let's go to the slides. There are three main strategies for deployment in serverless applications: all at once, linear, and Canary. We have been doing all at once deployment always in all my videos. Basically, if you didn't guess, all at once is to shift all the traffic at once from the old environment to the newly deployed environment. Canary deployments are when you specify the percentage of traffic you want to shift and the time you want deployment to last. We can say that it will last from 30 minutes with a 10% of the traffic. This means that during the 30 minutes we will have 10% of the traffic, and after that time passes, then the 90% of the traffic will be shifted. In linear deployments, we are changing the amount of traffic splitted to the new version incrementally, according to a percentage that is provided when configured. So we can say that we want to increment the traffic by 10% every 5 minutes. So our deployment will last for 50 minutes, and little by little the amount of traffic that will be shifted to the new version will increase. Canary and Linear are more complex strategies, and to perform them, you need to add some logic to your deployment tool. You could build it yourself, but there it takes a lot of work. There's also many tools that provide Canary and Linear deployments. In AWS, every Lambda function can have any numbers of versions and aliases associated with them. Versions are immutable snapshots of a function. It includes the code and the configuration. It is a good practice to publish a new version every time you update your function code. When you invoke a specific version, you're guaranteed to get the same code and configuration. Versions can be used effectively with alias. Alias is a pointer to a version. Alias have a name and an ARN. You can use that ARN to invoke the function into the right version. One basic deployment strategy in serverless is to update your function code in production, publish a new version, invoke the version directly and run integration tests against it, and after everything is looking good, you can flip the alias to your production to point to the new version. Now the traffic starts shifting instantaneously from the old version to the new version. But this is something quite tedious to do. Usually in production we want to automate the deployments and have a controlled traffic shifting. For that we need to use some kind of tool. AWS provides CodeDeploy, that is a managed service that helps you to deploy your serverless applications with different deployment strategies. Also, it lets you monitor the deployment and have alarms that can trigger the rollback if something goes wrong. So CodeDeploy will help you to deploy your new versions of Lambda functions using different strategies like Linear or Canary. It also can define pre-traffic and post-traffic hooks. These functions can help you to verify that the newly deployed code is configured correctly and your application works as expected. Also, it rollbacks the deployment automatically if something goes wrong, and it will notify you with alarms. The pre-traffic hook is usually executed before the traffic shifting starts. This function is a Lambda function that will be invoked by CodeDeploy. This Lambda must return a callback to CodeDeploy with a success or a failure. If the function fails, then the deployment is aborted, and if it's successful, it will continue the deployment. Post-traffic hook is similar to pre-traffic hook, and it executes after the traffic shifting completed. It can be used to run integration tests. In CodeDeploy, there are many pre-configured deployment types like Canary 10% over 30 minutes, or Canary 10% over 5 minutes, or Canary 10% on 10 minutes, Linear 10% every 10 minutes, Linear 10% every 1 minute, Linear 10% every 2 minutes, and Linear 10% every 3 minutes. And then finally the normal that we have been using all the time, all at once. You can choose your deployment strategy and see it in action in the console. Next week we are going to see this live, and I will show you how to create all this using infrastructure as code from our serverless framework application. This was the video for today. I hope you like it. If you did, give a big thumbs up. I know it's a lot of theory, but I think it's important so you can understand what is the power of the next video where we are going to put this in practice. And also I wanted to have time for showing you the things in the video and not have everything crammed in one video. So sorry for this long theoretical video, but I think it's sometimes good to learn a little bit more about the things that we are doing. If you have any questions about deployment or about anything related to this topic, let me know in the comment box below. I always like to read your questions and make videos that help you out. Around here there are other videos from my channel for you to watch, so go ahead and click, and if not, I see you in the next episode of FooBar. Ciao ciao!